Yep. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining the fourth session of the Sustainability Insight. Firstly, I would like to introduce our organizing team from UNESCO Jakarta. My name is Khairul Hazlan. I'm the MFIT coordinator. There's Ms. Sachi Suzuki, JFIT coordinator. And our colleagues from UNESCO Jakarta, Felicia Angelina, Vidani Ahmad, Gani Mulia, and Chita Yamatusanda. Today, we are going to focus on building bridges for inclusive water futures. We proudly present Professor Shahbaz, the Director of UNESCO Regional Science Bureau for Asia and the Pacific, as the moderator, and Professor Susana Neto, President of the Portuguese Water Resources Association, and she's also the Adjunct Professor for Western and Griffith from Queensland, Australia, and from the University of Lisbon in Portugal, as our guest speaker. We are ready to take your questions through the Q&A space and comments at our Facebook page. Professor Shahbaz, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, dear Hazlan. It's wonderful to have Professor Susana Neto with us. I know Susana for many years for a very special program of UNESCO, which we will be discussing, which is about water, which is about environment and life and policy. So we will hear more about that. And we have been working together since 2004. Many interesting milestones on the way, including Susana did wonderful organization for UNESCO in 2009 in a very special place, Evra, which is in Guyana River Basin, looking into water governance issues. Then we have also been to Douro River and looked into many of the sustainability issues which we will be bringing together. But also in the role in the Asia Pacific, since I have moved from Paris to Jakarta, we continued working together, and Susana contributed to water education in the region and also to Malaysia UNESCO cooperation program and how we draw some of those ideas together. So how to build partnerships at the individual level, at the level of a river basin, and how we actually work across countries, like with the European Water Framework Directive. So we will hear more on some of these ideas. So welcome, dear Susana. Let me ask you the first question about this idea of building bridges and partnerships. How you go about building bridges among different partners from different backgrounds in a complex river basin environment. So where should we start? Over to you, Susana.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so pleased to be here, and hello to everybody. Thanks to the team. Thank you especially to you, Shahbaz, that we have been sharing so many ideas and so many good moments around water and discussing all these issues. I will very quickly tell you that to build good partnerships, I think the first criteria is persistence, time, efforts to bring together people around good ideas that can work, but of course they will need effort and time to be developed. In the Guadiana River Basin, that was a HELP basin proposed in 2004, we had very different and diverse types of stakeholders and different dimensions too, from very small organizations to bigger operators like the ones that operate the big Alqueva dam that was built there. And also the public administration, of course, that was in charge of the river basin plan. So all these partners had to be talking around the water issues, and the HELP program was a very strong factor to bring together these partners. And in 2009, as you referred, we could really facilitate this dialogue among different partners, and it was a big success, and it's still mentioned today. People really enjoyed being there, but there's several ingredients for this recipe to be successful. And you need time and effort, but you also need some key drivers and HELP program and our presence there in Évora was really important at that time to bring together all the stakeholders.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's now focus a bit more on what we have achieved in Guadiana River, which is a river between Spain and Portugal. Very, very interesting place. And that's where Évora is. And if I remember correctly, Évora means gold, and it's also a World Heritage area.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. One thing I was very impressed with is the buy-in from the local stakeholders and also engaging with the local political players. So let's say to start such a process, you need to have a common understanding of the issues. And then how do we make sure we can involve all those decision makers, and especially the political as well as the academic and the common people. So this has been one of the key achievements in my view for the Guadiana. So please explain to us the links back with the local political figures as well.
Yes. In the Guadiana River Basin, as in other regions in Portugal, the municipalities are also very important. So the local crucial role, even if they are not directly involved in water management at the river basin level, they are the water suppliers at the municipal level. And so that indirectly links also the common people, all the residents and the people that live in those municipalities. In the Guadiana, you also have the particularity of being an international river basin. So the cooperation with the Spanish municipalities at local level is also a real opportunity. And in 2009 and then the years beyond that, there was under the Water Framework Directive that you also mentioned at European level, there was an opportunity to cooperation between Portugal and Spain, because the discussion of the main issues for the river basin plans was done for a certain time of years, was done together. So there were some joint meetings in Portugal and some joint meetings in Spain to discuss the main issues for the river basin. In the Guadiana, what we achieved was under the HELP program was exactly that possibility of becoming a driver in the glue of different stakeholders that would not talk with each other. And eventually also later on, we had the opportunity to have a pilot program in the eco-hydrology field. And as you remember, there was the launching of the UNESCO Center for Eco-Hydrology that is located in Algarve, in the mouth of the River Guadiana. And that also gave to the Guadiana and to the HELP program in the Guadiana very important role of showing how different programs could be working together. And when we were in Panama, we presented that experience of building bridges between different programs, how the HELP program and the eco-hydrology pilot could work together to bring some lessons to the same table. And that was really very, very important. And we made a paper with Louis Shisher, the director of the UNESCO Center, and Jeff Kempkin as well. And this paper, Building Bridges and these synergies among different programs, is being very successful.
Yeah,
We have people reading it all the time. It's very inspiring. It's very important to have this driver of communication, having some factor that brings together different experiences. And HELP was really doing that in the Guadiana. I would say the big achievement was bringing together the public administration, the scientists from the University of Algarve, other scientists from other parts of Portugal as well that were studying the Guadiana, and the users of water that were also starting the irrigation plants around the big dam in Alqueva, and these expectations of uses of different stakeholders, the irrigation and the municipalities, and bringing together all those stakeholders was really one of the core principles of HELP put in practice.
Good. If I can now follow up, dear Susana.
Yes.
You have mentioned bringing all those stakeholders with interest in water resources at all the different levels. And there is a buzzword which many people use, maybe integrated water resource management or water governance. Your PhD is about water governance. Can you please help us understand, in your view, what is water governance and what is the role of stakeholders and decision makers within that?
Yes, with great pleasure. We learned, we had the background of water governance is, of course, the idea of integrated water management, and the UNESCO also developed some good ideas about this learning process that is cycle and is improving and increasingly refining from your first solutions. You see if things work, and then you can improve them. And water governance is enlarging the role of the states, including exactly the stakeholders. You realize that you cannot have water, you cannot govern and manage your waters only by the statal entities. You need to involve the other participants, the other actors in society. So water governance is exactly that, is involving all the actors in society. And to be a good water governance, in my view, you need to embrace the complexity of water problems. And to embrace that complexity, you really need to open to different views and different ways of addressing the problems. There is not only one way of solving a water problem. There are different views that you need to embrace and to put in the same place in dialogue. And so water governance is exactly that, is promoting the dialogue of different views and finding ways for multiple solutions for complex problems. It's not only one solution, not a rigid idea, but a complexity that work together with different views and try to adapt also. It's not a fixed solution. You need to adapt. The next day, maybe you need to do something better. And this evolving solutions.
That's really good. So basically, progressively, we learn together, we bring stakeholders together, but stakeholders must be empowered. And all those solutions, more than one solution, the options which are available, they must be evaluated together, and every step should lead us to a better future. So that's really the idea. You have mentioned, Susana, in Guyana, there has been two very important UNESCO initiatives. Of course, Guyana River Basin has been a UNESCO HELP basin, Guyana Estuary, which is very interesting freshwater, saline water interface, and the ecology of that has been an eco-hydrology demonstration, but also a UNESCO center, which you have mentioned, and a UNESCO chair. You and Jeff have played a very important role in building capacity and into these complex issues. Give us some examples. How do we excite young people? How do we bring different stakeholders who are interested to learn from your experience in this particular center and for your other efforts, which you are always doing, including colleagues from Pakistan have benefited from your knowledge and Jeff's knowledge with some of the work in Australia. So what would be the kind of drivers? How do we build capacity by exciting all those people working together?
Yes, well, it's really very true. You're very right that we do nothing without empowering the people, the stakeholders, and that can be done at different levels. Sorry. We have been working a lot in education and learning with the post-graduations or master courses, international courses in Australia and also in Europe. And as you remember, we had some eco-hydrology courses also in the University of Algarve. And then we also used the HELP network to empower, to start this empowerment process of our students. And that means giving people the opportunity to believe in themselves, to believe that they have solutions themselves. And that was very clear to in our courses, that you can have students that arrive in a course very discouraged because they think they come from a country where there are no resources. And we have seen that many times. People that come from countries with really lack of resources, not only human capital, but also financial resources. And in the end, when you hear other experiences and you understand that you can do more than you think and you feel more empowered, that is the starting point. And we have been trying to connect with our previous students, participants. We also had a very important learning course in Australia with a group of Pakistani people. And that was a great example of diversity. We had farmers, we had people with a PhD, we had people with very different backgrounds, even speaking different languages. We had to translate everything from Urdu to English. And it was amazing how people can feel empowered just by sharing their experience. I think that one key issue for empowerment is being able to, having a space to share experiences. And that will take us to other possibilities that UNESCO is also providing with the Malaysian cooperation platform, for example. Sharing experiences is really very, very powerful. And I think it's a way to go forward.
I have met many of your students, and they still remember all the excellent knowledge you have imparted, but very importantly, change the thinking and the mindset that we can do a lot more if we work together. And we need to not be constrained by our background. We need to build our knowledge through knowledge bridges. If I can follow through now with your experience in Portugal with the water associations, that's also very interesting work which you have been doing. What are the drivers for the water associations to be innovative, to work together, to network together? So give us some ideas from Portugal about water associations.
Okay, thank you for asking that. Well, the Water Association in Portugal is an old one, relatively old one. It's more than 40 years old. It's 42, 43 years old. And it was created around many people from the universities and companies, engineers, hydrologists, and has been traditionally an association that works very close to the universities, but also as supporting the policy making process. And in these 2 years, I was trying to change a bit, because I believe that sometimes we need some breaks and some ruptures with the things that are being done always in a certain way. And we try to get closer to the society and behave a bit more like an NGO. So we developed a small project that is a capacity building project. It is to raise awareness of people to save water in their homes, in their places of work, in the schools. So we just involved our groups, we called the experimental communities, in schools, from kids from 3, 4 years old to centers of support of elders with 80 or 90 years old. And just around the simple act of putting a small device in the tap or in the shower to reduce the flux of water. And this is just an opportunity to discuss why we need to save water, what is the climate change impacts on our lives, what is water scarcity, how can we share more water, what are the problems in other regions of the world, people that don't have access to good water, etc. So it was really very empowering as well to different groups of social groups of kids, older people, residents, workers in different places, and it was really, it just finished. It was 2 years, almost 2 years project. It was really very interesting experience of very small things that you can do, getting together different kinds of social groups.
That's really good. And maybe such an experience can be useful for the other parts of the world. And maybe there are some publications available. And
Yes.
that brings me to the question, you have published within HELP network. There are publications which are available from our meeting, which we had in 2007 in South Africa, but also before, on the water governance and bringing stakeholders together. And finally, also you have led the initiative with Jeff to a water policy journal, which is the World Water Policy. It is now published under WILE, started as an open source, and there are many interesting things. So give us some ideas about the knowledge sharing practices we have. And we need knowledge sharing at many different levels. So of course, journal is very high level, but at the same time, we need to share knowledge at the basic level. And if you have stakeholders who are not necessarily with the PhDs, how do you provide different products, knowledge products? What can we share with our stakeholders from around the world?
Yes. Well, Jeff and I took very seriously our responsibility. I think that when we get higher degrees in the academia, PhDs and masters and all the degrees, we have the responsibility to make use of those privileges, to share knowledge and wisdom, and promote also others to share their wisdom and their knowledge. And what we tried to do in the World Water Policy Journal, and it was, the previous name was New Water Policy and Practice.
Yeah.
We were really trying to attract not only the usual people that publish in a journal, index journal, for example, the academics, but also the young practitioners that were starting, and they needed to share some of their own experiences or projects that were starting. And many of our students were have been publishing with us as well. So we tried to have this compromise with the publishers that need some higher level academic publications, and we keep having 2 or 3 in every issue, but also opening to younger people that is starting to publish and doesn't need to go to this very hard screening. So promoting that their voice starts being heard as well. And this is exactly our philosophy in the World Water Policy. And you know, you are in the board of our international advisors, Shahbaz. We try to promote this in different regions of the world, and also understanding different contexts. We cannot have a rigid mindset. If I live in Europe, I cannot only think as an European. I need to understand the other regions in the world, and everybody in our position needs to do that, or we will be rigidly closed in a bubble. So we need to open our privileges. We need to share the things that we can do. And this is exactly what we are doing with the World Water Policy. It was an incredible opportunity that policy studies opened to us. And then we have been trying to make it work for also young practitioners, so they can publish for the first time. And so everybody is invited to see our website and send us proposals or papers that you would like to publish. Of course, we will analyze that always.
Thank you very much. That's invitation. I'm sure there would be many colleagues who would like to take that invitation. There is a particular question about the indigenous aspects, which we will deal maybe through the formal feedback mechanisms we have. If colleagues have other questions, most welcome to put them. Susana, you have mentioned the role of learning together in the global context. That's where North-South, South-South, and triangular cooperation, they're all very important. And you have played a role in our meeting at UNESCO's General Conference in front of delegates from all our member states. And that's where we shared our experiences in South-South cooperation. So maybe briefly, can you give us some ideas about what were your learning as a panelist, and what is your advice to UNESCO for promoting such kind of cooperation through Malaysia UNESCO Cooperation Program?
With great pleasure. It was really a great opportunity and a moment that I remember always sharing this panel with the other people from different contexts, and just the opportunity to see that it's not just sharing your knowledge or your experience, is having some meaning into that, including some meaning into that. And this triangular cooperation, when it gets together countries where you have different levels of resources and different opportunities and different funding opportunities, and if you can really be practice a solidarity opportunity for different participants in the platform, that makes a big difference. And what I saw from this platform with Malaysia was exactly running differently from the usual business of these networks of funding projects. Is a different thing, because it's based on solidarity, it's based on understanding different contexts and understanding problems that countries of, when we say South nowadays, we don't mention only countries in the Southern Hemisphere. What we say is that all the countries have the South inside themselves, in the North and in the South. And this South is people getting in bigger difficulty, people struggling more. And we have now the pandemic situation where we have in all countries in the world, people getting, losing their jobs, losing opportunities to have income, struggling a lot with access to food and access to basic health care and access to water. And this is the southern problems. This is the South problems that if we have more platforms like this, and we have in place more opportunities of networking, UNESCO plays a major role in this, because it's a very serious and very, how do you say, loved organization. You trust UNESCO. It's something that if you say something is coming from UNESCO, nobody is doubting that it is in good faith and it is for the good. And this is very important. I will not mention other agencies, because you say always there could be some other interests. But when you talk about UNESCO, you know that this is something for the good of humans. And so the social problems can be increasing in many countries. And if you have more access to this kind of networks where you exchange different solutions that could work in your own place, and if this can reach smaller local level communities, that is very important. If you have a network that is not only at higher level of nations or governmental agencies, but can reach smaller scale organizations. And that's exactly what I saw in the reports of the members of this panel, that many of these experiences were very local level. So you can have this opportunity shared among people that is working on the ground. And this makes a huge difference. I think that this is really a very important lesson that I took from there.
Thank you very much, Susana. That's all the time we have today. And I'm sure we will continue to follow up on many ideas from Susana. Let me try to summarize very briefly.
Thank
First of
you.
all, we are very proud of your achievements in the areas of true stakeholder engagement. The programs which we started long time ago, 2004 and before that, with Professor Mike Bonnell and all your contributions in this discussion, it has become very clear that we need to continue to work together and bring all the stakeholders, irrespective of what their knowledge and background is, giving respect, bringing transparency, and working in a collegial way. And this is a long-term process, and we have given you one example today from experience of Professor Susana Neto. Also, very importantly, the work with the Water Association and the project which you have done, and the simple ideas make a big difference. So we need to continue to work together. Every step leads to another step. The example in Portugal between the river basins, which we have briefly touched on, the Douro and Guadiana, there are so many good things which have happened there, and there are so many learnings which can be cultivated from there. And learnings does not have to be very high level policy journal or scientific journals. Learnings can be synthesized at different levels. We are very happy also to learn from Professor Susana today that all these efforts and the associations and friendships can lead to bigger things. And one of them is now this World Water Policy Journal. And Susana has invited all of you to be part of this journal, and many ideas can be published there. It encourages young people, and the website will be shared after this seminar. So we have learned many of those good things. The problems are not of the nations which are geographically in the south or who are less developed. It's clear in every country there is a south. And we have to continue to work together. And to work together, we need to build bridges. And Malaysia UNESCO Cooperation Program is one way of building those bridges. All of these partnerships must have a meaning. The cooperation must have a meaning. So with that, I will leave it here. And I thank again Professor Susana Neto and all the colleagues who have joined us today. Please continue to put your remarks and questions on our Facebook page or here. And Professor Susana and I will try to give you feedback. And please also fill in the survey for today. So thank you. And we look forward to joining all of you with our next seminar. Thank you very much. Over to Hazlan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shahbaz and Professor Susana, and to all participants who have joined this event. For the next sessions of the Sustainability Insight, we are pleased to announce that it will be conducted twice a week, every Monday and Thursday. On Thursday, this 16 July 2020, we will have the 5th session of the Sustainability Insight. For further information on this, please see the information on the chat room and on our social media pages. If you wish to receive the certificate of this webinar today, please go to the link at the chat box and answer a few questions. We will keep this form open 90 minutes from now on. We wish you a good day, stay safe, and see you all soon next Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.